I don't know about you, but I'm excited today. I hope to leave here with new ways to revamp my LinkedIn, improve my experience, build a better network, and attract more recruiters. And also have an outstanding resume, right? So I'll just start with, I'll introduce our founder, WinTech founder, Wendy Form. She's a project manager, an entrepreneur, an influencer, a mom, and a woman extraordinaire. So let's just give a warm WinTech welcome to Wendy to introduce WinTech to us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Ijoma. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, happy to see each and every one of us. And you're highly welcome. Okay. But it seems like sorry, 1 second. So sorry about that. It was just a little interruption from my end. Sorry about that. Okay. So like I was saying, I said welcome everyone and happy to have each and every one of us. I see a lot of people joining us from different places. I see someone joining. Judith said she's joining from London, Ontario. And we have Ronke from Calgary, Placidia from Ontario, you know, a lot of people joining from different walks of, from different countries and provinces. You are highly welcome. We are so blessed to have you on today's section. So, like Ijoma said, my name is Wendy. And when it comes to WinTech, I know a lot of people that are joining us. I know some people might be the very first time they are joining us on today's section. And you'll be wondering, what is this organization all about? You know, so at WinTech, we have this mandate of creating a safe space for women to network, especially those that are in tech or those that are trying to pivot into tech. A safe place for them to network, learn, and support one another towards their career growth, advancement, and also mentorship. And also, WinTech is not just about advancing technology, but also WinTech is about empowering women and also elevating lives. That is what we believe in, and that is what we stand for. You know, it's about pushing boundaries and also creating solutions that will shape the future. So you are highly welcome, and I believe that you are absolutely in the right place, okay? I want to use this opportunity to say a big welcome. Relax yourself on today's section. Like the topic already says, it's going to be more like how best can you get those resume and LinkedIn profile that you would likely be able to attract recruiters. You know, a lot of people that come into the country, even if you're not in Canada, you are in any other country, the main primary aim is for you to earn a living, right? And the question there is, how best can I revamp or restructure my resume and also my LinkedIn profile so that we'll be able to get a good job and possibly attract the recruiters to reach out to you. And when you apply for job, you will likely be getting that job. So that is what we are here for today. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Ijoma, once again. I'm going to hand it over to you while we continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. So today we have a speaker here, Rashmi Nair. She's the head of technical recruitment Chatech, and with over 6 years of experience in talent acquisition and technology recruitment. She connects top engineering talent with innovative organizations, focusing on cybersecurity and DevOps. So Rashmi has an academic background in psychology, DEI, and business management that helps her and enables her to foster inclusive environments. She partners with tech companies and recruitment agencies, filling strategic roles with precision and with a good and deep understanding of client needs. She's committed to promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion that she strives to create. So it's great to have Rashmi here today, and let's all listen. And I also wanted to mention that you can also put your questions in our chat, and also after Rashmi speaks, we're going to give you a chance to ask questions and get any clarification on anything that you want to. So with a very warm WinTech welcome, let's welcome Rashmi here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the great introduction and a very, very warm welcome. First things, if you hear my dog bark, I am so sorry. He likes to talk when I'm talking. It's just his thing. But like Wendy and Ajuma mentioned today, we are going to be talking a little bit about resume and LinkedIn. I kept the presentation as short as possible. I'm sure you've heard most things that I can put in a presentation from many, many other sources. I would love to kind of help answer more of your questions and kind of work on that one-on-one. So, you know, everybody's pain points are usually different. So it'd be great if I just connect more on the pain points, but we'll start off with a quick kind of intro, a very, very short presentation, I promise. I think it's about 8 slides. And then we will jump right into the questions, and I'd love to help everybody out with it. Okay, should I go ahead and share my screen?
Yes, I hope you can share your screen, right?
Yes, as soon as I figure out, oh, there it is, okay.
All right, awesome. Let us know if you're having any challenges. Okay, there you go.
For sure. Can everyone see this?
Awesome. Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. So again, welcome everybody to a quick short session on resume and LinkedIn optimization. Let's see what all we've been doing so far. What can we change? How can we be better? And then take it from there. But we'll start off with a little bit about me. Apart from the fact that I like taking selfies, as you might have seen from the poster and this picture, I have almost 7 years of technical recruitment experience. I started my career with technical recruitment, and I got extremely lucky with it. We will be going a little bit into that story a little later. What I am good at is trying to understand the exact needs of the client, which is usually more than just the technical skills. A lot of the time, and this is something we say a lot, is you're never going to find somebody that meets 100% of the job description. So where I come in is trying to understand the exact needs of the business, both technical and otherwise, and helping them find that little niche person that is the right fit, even if they don't match all of the technical requirements, but have the right attitude. We have constant conversations around DEI. As was mentioned, I do have a certification in DEI. It's something I'm extremely, extremely passionate about. And it has been heartwarming to watch the change just in like 7 short years. When I joined recruitment 7 years ago, it was very different. The landscape was very different. We maybe had 20% females in the industry to now we're getting closer to the 35% mark, which I think is incredible for just 7 short years. So hopefully with more organizations like these and more events like these, we can continue to help each other make a mark in what I think is one of the most exciting industries out there today. But what I'm not doing recruiting, which is usually most of my day, but I'm also a big, big person, Netflix person. I've watched too many TV shows. So after we're done with this, if you want to connect with me on a TV show, please feel free to drop me like a LinkedIn message or an email. I'd love to chat. So jumping right into a resume. Now we've all seen what a resume looks like. this is actually the resume I use on a day-to-day basis as of right now. And I thought, we have the rough components, which everyone is aware of, but I'd like to kind of go into detail about certain aspects of it. The first and the foremost, and probably the biggest pain point that I have as a recruiter, is when people are not clear about their contact information and location. Please, please, please put down your contact information and your location. If you are looking to move places, and so you're looking for it in the place that you are looking to relocate to, please put that as your location. I promise it will help attract more eyes from the recruiters. When I get a resume and it, for example, says, let's take India as an example, because I'm from there. It says India. They're probably in India. They have their permanent residency. They just haven't moved here, but they're already looking. The second I see India, I just assume they don't have status. And so it's a very quick way for me to just kind of move on to the next resume. But a lot of large organizations like the Amazons of the world do use internal ATS systems, which would also filter out people that have the wrong location. So I cannot stress this enough. Please, please have the right location that you are looking to this job for. Then LinkedIn. I'm a big LinkedIn person. If you've ever seen my profile before, you probably see that I post a lot. I comment a lot. I'm very active on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, there's actually a way where you can custom create the URL to have your full name rather than it having a random bunch of numbers. That makes your resume kind of look a lot more polished, a lot more professional. So this is actually quite easy. When you go onto your profile on LinkedIn, on the right side, you should be able to edit your URL. Another thing, it's not a do or die situation, but it's just something that's small, nice, and an effort that's appreciated. But I would like to also tell people at this point to keep in mind to make sure that your names on your LinkedIn and your resumes match. I spoke to a candidate today, and I could not for the life of me find him on LinkedIn because he created a call using my Calendly link. And I got all and I asked him, and it turns out he just ended up using his English name on LinkedIn and had his more traditional name on the calendar link. So whatever your preferred name is, there will definitely be a way to use it. For example, the way I recommend for most people to use it is have your legal first name, have your English name in brackets, and then your last name. It's just to help people identify who you are and save them that extra step of trying to go and find you somewhere. And then when you have a busy day, it's easy for us to kind of miss on that or forget about it. So again, very, very small housekeeping things, but it just makes your resume look a lot more professional. Coming on to the summary, I've seen resumes with both the one with a summary and the one without a summary. I think a summary just helps significantly. Something that you might not know is, as recruiters, when I submit a candidate's profile to a hiring manager, I actually write up a summary for the hiring managers. A lot of the time, the hiring managers do not read through your entire resume. They just don't have the time to do so. So having a summary makes it easier on the recruiter to kind of copy paste it, and also make sure that you're highlighting the achievements that you know you've had, which the recruiter might have missed, right? So we want to do everything in our power to make it easier in the sense for recruiter, but more so just making sure that everything that you want highlighted is highlighted. If you read through my summary, you'll realize that it's very to the point. It has a lot of buzzwords on there. Just to name a few, you'll see cybersecurity, you will see DevOps, which are two of the hottest fields within the tech space right now. Apart from that, you also have AI, obviously, but I didn't personally work that area. So I have areas that I've worked in which are the most popular. I talk about business management, I talk about DEI, I talk about psychology. These have all become more and more of buzzwords in the recent days, where people are looking at more than just your technical skills. So it's pretty easy to look up what your keywords would be for your profile. You can pull it out of a job description. You could probably even ask ChatGPT, and it usually does a pretty good job, to be honest with you. So feel free to use the free tools you have to come up with something that's short, that's concise. Don't make it too long, 5 to 6 sentences, but gives a good overview of where you are at in your career as of right now. We will talk about resume pages shortly, and I'll come back to the summary when we get there. Right underneath, I have skills. This is a section that's, it's flexible. If you have it, it's great. If you don't, it's really not a do or die. You could always add your skills into the description that you've given for each of your roles. So I wouldn't stress too much, but for large organizations, this is usually an easy way as well to get the recruiter's eyes to go straight there. They can look at the technical skills and kind of go from there. Something else I've kind of seen is we'll talk about, my experience with Bamboo HR, for example, and they talk about from beginner to expert, what level they're at with that skill. Could also be interesting. It'll just depend on the number of skills you want, because we do not want our resumes to be too long as well. Apart from that, then you talk about, I think, what's the most relevant thing, which is your prior work experience. I'm not sure how many of us are already in tech versus how many of us are looking to break into tech. In both cases, I would personally highlight work experience before education at all times. It's more relevant, for the lack of a better way to put it. Now, let's say your experience or your background is in a different area, but you're kind of looking to transition into tech. What you can do is have a section here called relevant work experience, where maybe you can put in a little details about the projects that you've done in that space, and then talk about other experience, where you can talk about all the other wealth of experience that you have. In most jobs, skills are highly transferable, so there's no way that you've done a job which is completely irrelevant. You always learn and you always grow, and that stays true regardless of kind of what job you're doing. Now, if you look at the description about each role, I make it very clear what my title was. If you take a look at actually my experience with Northern Labs, you'll notice I have recruitment lead and then head of people in brackets. That is because my official title was recruitment lead, but I was acting as a head of people because I was head of HR and talent acquisition within that organization. So this is another way to, let people know what you've exactly done. Because a lot of the time when people read recruitment lead, they assume I've been focused only on recruiting. So having a title like this in brackets gives them the opportunity to know, oh, okay, there's more to the story, and give them that incentive to read more. And again, will definitely help with your keyword search.
Rashmi, yeah. Sorry. Are you okay to increase the size of the screen? Is a little bit tiny?
I don't know if I can do that. Can I do that?
If you can't.
Is it? No, I'm not sure if I can.
No worries. Just continue.
Okay.
That's fine.
So, as you can see, my resume is not a one-pager. I think the most biggest common myth in the world is that only one-page resumes are accepted. That is untrue. There is no proper guideline to it. It'll always depend upon your experience. The more senior you are, the more longer your resume is going to be, and that is accepted. But as you grow in seniority, if you think the roles you did in the beginning of your career are not as relevant, you can just leave them as little headlines and then write more detailed descriptions about things that you think are relevant. But I mean, when I say with a grain of salt, when I say, it doesn't have to be one pager, I don't mean have a 10, 15 page resume. Please don't do that. We'll probably not get through to page 5 even, to be honest with you. So try to keep it concise. Every talk about in your resume, make sure that those are things that are directly linked to the job that you are looking to get next, right? The other thing is every role that you do, make a note of your wins in that role, right? And use numbers to explain how exactly you made their life easier in the organization. I see a lot of very vague statements. It could be helped hire engineers. Great, right? That's exactly what I want. But it would be great to have more details, like how many engineers, how did that, what was the turnaround time like, by including such details. Now, when you're in tech, let's say you're working on a project, having more details about project size, what role you played in the project, and what the outcome was more so than anything else, and then talking about the results of the outcome, as in how it helped the business. Did you shorten their processing times? Did you write so many lines of code in so much time? Having all of these definite points will make it easier for them to read your resume, and it'll feel a lot less vague. So that's usually what I would recommend. There are some times where you're going to be writing things about yourselves which you might not be able to quantify, and that's okay. Everything does not have to be quantified, but having that little, at least 1 or 2 points where you're able to say, okay, I managed this, I took responsibility for this project and brought it to completion in a month, whatever it might be. Having those numbers can really help highlight your resume even more. It's a little difficult to see on a recruit resume just because a lot of our role is very soft skill based, but on a tech resume, that's something I would recommend. Again, when it comes to phrasing of resumes, things like that, there's a plethora of tools online. The easiest and cheapest one being ChatGPT. It can help you make it sound formal, make it more concise, be to the point, and rather than having very, very large, long points. Because I have seen people talk about just one job in an entire page. That kind of information is what we have the phone for. So highlight what's important and let the rest be, so you have something more to talk about when you're having that phone screen and planning for the next step. The next point for me is education. When it comes to education, me personally, I have all of my education laid out together. It's okay for you to have just your degrees on one side. You want to have your certifications to a different side, whatever works kind of best for you. But having your education with years is great. I've heard recently a lot of people talking about, it causes ageism. I can guarantee you 7 years in tech, I've never looked at what year somebody's graduated in. It's not something I look at. It's usually, okay, they have a degree, great. It's just something for me to highlight to the hiring manager. But besides that, there's no one looks at it from a perspective of ageism. The cool thing about tech today is you actually don't need a degree. I have personally placed so many people who've done Udemy quiz, Coursera, who've gone to Lighthouse Labs. It is okay to not have a full degree, and it is accepted within the tech space. It's all about the kind of personal projects you do and how you highlight your skills. So at any point, if you feel like you're overwhelmed, you don't know exactly what's happening, don't be afraid to ask, especially agency recruiters, to take a look at your resume. I say agency recruiters because, one, as an agency recruiter myself, I have multiple clients that I'm working with at all times, which means I'm able to look at your resume and say, okay, this would be the right fit for these people. And it's also in my best interest because a lot of the time, insider secret, I don't even think it's a secret, but we get paid on commission, and that comes for placement. So it is in our best interest to help you optimize and make the best use of your resume. So don't be afraid to ask for help. I've had so many students reach out to me, for example, for help in just reviewing resumes. These are things that a lot of recruiters will do for you. And there are some great recruiters out there. Feel free to reach out and just ask. And I always say the worst case scenario is they say no, and that's okay. But ask them, reach out to them, get their opinions. I've had people as senior as a CTO ask me to review his resume to make sure that it fit industry standards. So there is no shame in it. Please do ask people. They will be willing to help. And then coming back to the summary part and what I said about the 1-page and 2-page resume, if you are starting out in your career and you only have enough for 1 page of your resume, the only thing that's getting in the way is kind of your summary. It's okay to skip in that regard. Since your resume is already that short, most of the times people will read through them. So you don't have to worry about them missing anything. So having a 1-pager, it is okay to leave the summary out of it and focus on your experience and highlighting kind of your achievements so far. Moving on. These are just some additional things to keep in mind. Every job description is different. I'm sure you know that. There is actually a statistic that say that men apply for jobs that match, where their resume matches about 70% of the job description, whereas women only apply for jobs if their resume matches 100% of their job description. I find that to be a very interesting statistic, and I don't understand why that always happens. Of course, yes, if the job is completely different from what you've been doing and what you're looking for, don't apply because it's irrelevant and it can block you from certain ATSs temporarily. But if a job is saying 3 years of experience in data science and you have 2, apply. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it. Apply, apply, apply. I'm as a recruiter for 7 years, I will tell you, most people I place probably match the job description anywhere from 40 to 50%. A lot of the time, what really gets you through to like the final stage and the hiring is the attitude, the right kind of mindset, and how you choose to communicate. Communication is key in every facet of life, but especially in the tech space, just because more and more organizations are either hybrid or remote, which means there's a bigger push for better communication so that the team can all be on the same page. So that's kind of what a lot of the times it comes down to. I have seen people reject people with incredible skill sets because they're not able to communicate with each other and hold that rapport going. So that is something that I would say is very, very important. The other one is using action verbs and quantifiable events. We touched on this on the last slide. This will definitely make a world of a difference, especially if you're looking at the large organizations. The Amazons, the Deloittes, the KPMGs, the EYs, they all have internal ATS systems that they use, which weeds out a lot of people because they don't have certain verbs or certain words in them. So do your research, base it off of the job description, and it should make it easier. The other 2 are more formatting. I've seen people where there's too much on your resume. You don't need too much. I don't think you need a design. You definitely do not need your photo to be on your resume. So please remove it. I've had cases where I've had people sending me their resume that has the driver's license number, their SIN numbers. Please, that is private information. Do not share it with anybody except your company's HR, and that too through an internal system that they will set you up with. We do live in North America. It is something that we should be extremely cautious about, especially in the rate of cybercrime that's happening in today's world. So please be cautious about that. And then my favorite, which is spelling errors and grammars. I've had some very funny stories with spelling errors. It is usually, I play a game with myself every day to see how many spelling errors I can catch in a day. You'd be surprised as to how many people will still submit their profiles with quite major errors in them, in spite of all the applications that are present today. Use a good word search, use Grammarly. It'll help make sure your grammar is in check as well. And these are, again, all free tools to help you just put your best foot forward. So that's kind of like a very quick overview on resumes. And let's go on to a little story. So I mentioned that I will talk about my first job and how I got there. So I, like was mentioned before, I studied psychology, which has nothing to do with recruitment, absolutely nothing. As a young graduate, I knew I did not want to do my master's right away. And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I realized, you know what, I'm just going to do recruiting because finding a job was so difficult for me that I wanted to help other people find jobs. Actually, how I landed in recruitment. And so this first message you see on the left side, which basically says, I am Reshmi. I'm interested in being a part of recruitment as a career. I'm a recent graduate specializing in psychology. I would love to have an opportunity to meet with you and discuss recruitment as a career. I copy pasted this message to at least 100 people, and I am not exaggerating. At least 100 people who work in the field is who I sent out this message to. I probably got 3 replies back, right? So that's not very many, but one of the replies was from someone who I ended up reporting to in my first job, where he replied and told me he was happy to chat with me. And I said, okay, great. Now I was excited. I did some research on the company. It was Morgan McKinley. So I did some research, found out they were new in Canada. So I sent him a little message saying, you know, I saw that you guys are new here. I actually was in Singapore for my teen years. I know that you have a big operation there. You know, I'm just new into this journey and I want to learn more. I would love to talk to you. He got back to me and he said he's traveling. He'll be back next week and asked me if I could connect. I said, sure, no worries. Have a good trip. And this is all happening in September. Then it's October And I dropped him another message. I was like, hey, just checking in. Are you in the country? I did not get a reply to that. So I messaged him again in another 10 days and I asked him again. He replied to that and asked me if I would share my resume with him and sent me over his email. So I did. I shared my resume with him and he told me he was busy. And so one of his colleagues was going to give me a call. I said, sure, no worries. I had a call with this colleague. He told me a lot about recruitment. It was a little difficult to understand a lot of it because that person I spoke to was actually Irish. So it was a little difficult to understand the accent right off the bat. But eventually I was like, yeah, okay, makes sense. I learned a little. And he ended the conversation by saying, okay, Reshmi, I think you'll be a good fit for our team. Maybe you should come in and meet the director. And I was in shock because I did not even know this was an interview. To me, it was a conversation where I was just learning about what is recruitment. Long story short, I went, I met them, it all worked out great, and I joined them. And I was there for the 4 years, and they're probably still some of my favorite people in the world. But that is actually how I got my first job. So when I tell you LinkedIn is your best friend, LinkedIn is your best friend. Please, please, please reach out to people. Ask them for 15 minutes for a coffee. And you might get a lot of people who don't respond. You might get no's. Sometimes all it takes is one person, and this person was my one person that I needed. But this is actually what happened and is how I want to kind of transition into LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is somewhere where I've seen a lot of people upload everything that's on their resume onto their LinkedIn and then forget about it. They wait to see if a recruiter will message. Maybe you have the open to work on, and they wait and they wait. And sometimes you're lucky and it happens, but most of the time, nothing comes out of it. So LinkedIn is at the core of it a social media platform. So there's more to it than just uploading your profile. So LinkedIn, again, is pretty standard. The most important part for me personally, as soon as I look at a profile, is the person's picture. Please, please upload your profile picture. Preferably not a selfie. It looks a lot less professional, but if you don't have any other picture, it's okay to start with a selfie too. But we hesitate to reach out to candidates who don't have a picture. It's just that it's difficult to differentiate between bots and real people in today's world. So please, please do have a picture. It can be any picture. Just please have a picture on there. I've seen people who have pictures with their pets. I've seen people who have pictures with their kids. And that's okay if you want that to become part of your personal branding. LinkedIn is where we focus on personal branding and trying to put our best foot forward. Now, a banner is something that's it's up to you. I personally put a banner of the organization I'm working with. If you're looking to break into cybersecurity, for example, it's very easy to kind of find a banner in the cybersecurity. Just Google it, you'll find a banner just to have something that's relevant. So the second people look at your profile, they know exactly, okay, this is the field you're in. Great. So, but again, banner is not as important, but please have the profile picture. And then coming to the headline. The headline actually is a very interesting concept. I don't know how long people have spent on LinkedIn, but if you're on somebody's profile, more often than not, you'll notice on the right side, you have people you may know or similar profiles. When you see these kind of things, all you're seeing is the individual's face, their name, and their headline. So having a catchy headline talking about exactly what you do over there is just an easy way to make the person who's looking for this person click onto your profile because they can see the buzzwords right off the bat. So again, I'm in tech recruitment. What I do is I'm head of tech recruitment. I focus on tech talent, connecting them with tech talent with disruptive companies. And then I'm in people and culture. So these are the keywords that I want people who look at my profile to focus on based on my experience so far. And even when I'm ready for my next role, this is what I would want to be highlighted for the recruiters to look at. So that's kind of something I would highly recommend you do. And then LinkedIn also has a summary portion. Now, the nice thing about LinkedIn summaries, it's a little more forgiving. So you can have a longer summary. So if you have a little story, go ahead, write your story. I say LinkedIn doesn't have to be overly formal. Have the keywords, yes, but make it more personable. Be you. through it. Be who you are, show your personality. A lot of the times, those are the things that will catch people's eye when they're just looking through your profile. And a lot of the times, that's how you'll find jobs. I can tell you, I have not applied to a single role I have worked at. It has all been either through my network and connections or through people who've seen my profile and thought I would be a good fit and reached out to me. So having the right things, being personable over there does make a world of a difference. Now over here, I didn't screenshot my entire experience because there's, I'm very, very detailed about my experience on LinkedIn rather than on my resume. This is because I want to make sure I put in as many keywords as I can. Something that happens on what we use, which is a LinkedIn Recruiter on the back end, is when look for candidates. We usually look for them based on a keyword search. So having those important keywords in there is extremely crucial, and make sure that your profile is more noticed by recruiters specifically. So if you ever have a chance to go look at my profile and you click on to like see more of my jobs, you'll notice there's like a whole essay in there rather than the 4 points that I have on my resume. The main reason is because I want to get as many keywords as possible onto my LinkedIn. More and more people are now relying on LinkedIn to do a lot of the hiring rather than resumes. So this is a nice way to make sure that you have all the keywords that you need. Then you have the education section, which is pretty self-explanatory. I do want to talk a little bit about the skills section. LinkedIn actually has a limit of, I think, up to 55 skills that you can have on your profile. And you can get other people to kind of vote on it and give you points on it and stuff like that. So this is a great feature to kind of utilize. You see global talent acquisition and the recruitment on there because I've been contributing to a lot of the articles, and that's my highest skills as of right now. But this is a good place to put in your soft skills, any technologies that you have worked with. And if you have colleagues who can vouch for you, this would be a great place to get them to come and say, hey, I vouch for this person. It just makes it look a lot more professional, but also like, that you have the support of a lot of people, that there are people who are actually vouching for you. Which brings me to the next and my personal favorite section of LinkedIn, which is the recommendations. Most people have absolute recommendations. And that's unfortunate because recommendations is an opportunity for the recruiter to find out a little more about you, more than what you're saying in the words and perspective of another individual that you have worked with. The cool thing is that LinkedIn also will tell you exactly how you worked with them. So in my case, for my clients, but you'll see hiring manager, you will see a colleague. These are different ways to understand the dynamic between you and your colleagues, and which will give them an indication of the kind of teammate you would be, which is important because I'm sure most of us have seen most job descriptions will have excellent teamwork skills and excellent communication skills. These are some places where you can actually show them that. So something that I have recommended a lot of my younger friends or my juniors to do is the internships you work at or the university associations that you might be part of. Send them that request for recommendation and let them write that recommendation for you. It helps humanize you, to be honest, and that goes a long way with recruiters as well. So for me personally, when I'm hiring somebody, yes, I look at keywords, but the first thing I look at after that is the recommendations. It's how I decide, okay, I think this person is someone I'm willing to risk a little bit, even if they don't match all the requirements of the organization. So it's very simple. It takes 2 minutes to write something like this. Please use it. It will definitely help. And then a little bit about LinkedIn tips and tricks. Again, we talked about keywords. Regularly update your profile. Even if it's not new experiences, right? Anything you do constantly, you did a certification, LinkedIn Learning has a bunch of courses you could do. Did you do something? Reshare it. Let your network know how you're upskilling and what you're doing to get better. These will really help you. And talk to people on LinkedIn. If there is a topic that you're passionate about, find other people who are passionate about it, comment on their posts, or you start posting about it. Sometimes if you're a little shy to post, which I used to be at one point in my career, just reshare it. So the more we can do all of those things, it will make it easier, and the visibility of your profile does increase because that's how LinkedIn's algorithm actually works is based on your engagement. Your profile will be more visible than somebody else's. Apart from that is personalizing your connection request. Don't send somebody a blank connection request. Tell them exactly why you were reaching out to them, and it helps them understand exactly what it is, and then starts a conversation right off the bat, rather than them accepting and then you sending a message and then you losing a bunch of time in between all of that. I try to be efficient with it. The little message I showed you where I sent my old director, I sent that as my connection message to everybody that I reached out to. So you have a 300 character limit, use those 300 characters and convey that message across. It goes a long way. And that's it. Maybe it was a little longer than I thought, but hopefully it was okay and everybody got something of value. But anybody have questions, please let me know.
Amazing, amazing. This is awesome. Guys, please, can we appreciate Rashmi? You can use the reaction button. You can unmute yourself and give her a round of applause. Like, I love it. I love it. That was awesome. Straight to point and also making so much sense. I see a lot of some questions on the chat, and I want to tell you that this has been a very vital information. I know a lot of people here will be like, okay, let me get to hear it, you know? Yeah, really, really insightful. And I know some people have questions. And at this point, I would say, if you have any question you want to like unmute yourself to talk, please try and use the reaction button. You will see beneath your Zoom, right? Because we want this section to be an interactive section. If you feel like there are certain questions you want to ask and you want to find out, please raise your hand by using yes, by using the raise hand button, and we are going to call you to ask your question. But I know that sometimes people feel so shy. They don't they don't want to, you know, to unmute themselves and talk. If you are that kind of person, I will tell you that is not the best one. But if you feel like you don't want to talk and you want to drop the message or maybe your question on the chat, feel free to do that. And we are going to assist you and ask your question, okay? Yeah, thank you so much, Rashmi. That was really an awesome one. I'm going to hand it over to Ijoma right now, and we'll go over to the questions as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. I learned a lot. I have my notes here. I know like one of the things you mentioned, there's always that argument. Oh, how many pages can your LinkedIn, like can your resume be, right? You know, say, oh, it's only one page. Like when you come in as an immigrant, they tell you, oh, it's only one page, or it's only 2 pages, you know. So thank you for clearing that up. And I like what you said about LinkedIn is a social net media platform. So it's not just enough to put up your picture and put your resume and your details. You have to connect and try to reach out to people. So thank you so much. So we have 3 hands already raised. So let me just see. Okay, yeah. So we have Jill B. So you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, thanks so much for hosting this. I really appreciate you, Rashmi. My question, actually, I have 2 questions. The first one would be, actually loved how, you know, when you got your first job, you connected. My question to that is, who should we be looking to connect if we are interested in specific places? Like, did you just kind of like go on LinkedIn and you kind of like just researched different recruiters in different fields, or maybe head of recruiters in different companies, and then you started like, you know, copy and pasting all those messages? Or was there like a specific target group that you really wanted to reach out to, and then you did that? And then the second question would be, recently, there's a career path that I've actually been interested in the longest time. And then I connected to somebody on LinkedIn. And then when we got talking, they said, oh, whenever you have time, just let me know so, you know, we can connect, get on a call and we can talk. I was hesitant about it, even though it's a career path that I really wanted to be a part of, because I mean, we live in a weird world right now where it's like, I'm like, okay, now I'm really going to give you my phone number to call me and we can start talking. What's the safest way to connect with people, especially if you know they're in the field that you want and they're pretty much open to like talking to you? I mean, LinkedIn doesn't have anything that, you know, like where you can jump on a call like Facebook, you know, with people. So can you speak on that, especially for safety, security reasons where I need to protect myself by getting the proper information that I need to get? Thank you.
Both great questions. So the first question, in whichever role that you are applying for, it's always important to know who that role would be reporting into, right? So in my case, when that's recruiter, it's easy. It's like a team leader for recruiter or recruiting manager. But let's say you're looking for a business analyst role, for example, right? Most business analysts would report into a project manager or a lead business analyst. So once you figure out the title of the person that you're going to report into, it makes your life easier. But there's a little bit of a trick because sometimes it's not obvious. So there's a little bit of a trick that you can do. I don't know how many people actually research the company pages on LinkedIn before they send out their applications. But if you go onto any company's LinkedIn page, you have a section called People. When you click on that, you see a little search box that opens up that says search by keywords. Now, this people tool is useful regardless, just because it gives you the demographics, it tells you who's where. It's easy for you to identify, okay, this organization is in this and this country. They have so many employees here, which is usually a nice way to kind of connect and learn about the company. But for this purpose, just type in the title of the role that you want, and you'll see a bunch of people up. It'll be easy for you to go through their profile and see exactly who would be the manager, quote unquote, in this term, and then you can message that person. So it's usually best to reach out to the hiring managers. As recruiters, I promise you, we get flooded and sometimes we do miss messages. So a hiring manager, on the other hand, does not get flooded as much. So that's one, I think that's a great way to kind of find out exactly who to reach out to in an organization. If it's a small organization, reach out to the recruiter because it's a lot easier. But again, just type in recruiter or type in talent. You'll see who works in that space. That'll open up, and then you just click on it and kind of you can choose the profile and just go type that pre-saved message that you have. Now, the second question that you had about safety, as you saw, I was a cybersecurity recruiter, so I'm a big pioneer, and I'm extremely paranoid as a human being as well. So what you can do is actually use your email. So if this person tells you, let's jump on a call, ask them, it'd be okay if we did a quick Google Meet session, right? And ask them to share their email. You can create the calendar invite and send it across. This is one way for you to kind of protect your personal information, but also have that conversation, because that conversation might be exactly what's leading you to a job. But great job on just reaching out to them and getting to that stage, because usually that's where people get stuck. So great job getting there. But try and use email to do it. Try and use Zoom links to do it. Those are some ways you can protect your personal information.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rashmi. I know some people drop their message in the chat, and of course, while they're giving others the attention to like speak, we also want to attend to those that drop their message in the chat. So right now we have another message or question on the chat. When you were like explaining about your resume and how one can structure resume, I saw a message or a question regarding to that. And I know there are some certain ways by which you can like structure your resume, what comes next and what follows, right? So this person is asking, is it important to follow this order for the resume? Like starting from your name, maybe your LinkedIn profile, your phone number and all that.
There's no specific order that you need to follow. It's just about what's most relevant to the job. So let's say you were working in interior designing, right? And now you're doing a career switch and you're kind of moving into tech. What would be most relevant would probably be the certifications you've done to make that transition. So in that case, you can bring that up higher on the list. As long as you start off with your name and your contact information clear. Besides that, all the other order, you can change it to suit the needs of that specific role and what's most relevant in your personal profiles.
Ijoma.
Thank you. We'll take a question from somebody on the that raised their hand. We have Vivian Kalu, so you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you, Rashmi, for actually taking out time to speak to us today. So my question is around for someone who is transitioning to a different career. Take for instance, the person just moved into Canada, but back home they already had they already had the experience. How do you position that resume? Does it have to be in a chronological order, or do you look at the most relevant experience? The most relevant experience to that job. Do you put that first, or do you have to go in a chronological order, either being from the most recent to the yeah? So that's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, so great question. I think this is where, when you're transitioning careers, is where you can really use that summary field to just kind of take a second to explain that transition even, and to talk about how some of the skills you've had in your past role kind of transform, and some of the new skills you've learned would also come on. Again, feel free to use ChatGPT to help you do that. It definitely does work. And then when you're talking about experience, no, it does not have to be in chronological order. Always talk about what's most relevant first. Instead of writing it as just work experience like I have it on my personal resume, I would kind of break it down into two sections, where the first section would be relevant experience, and then the second section would be other experience. This way it's clear that you have a lot more experience. It's just that it is these certain parts that are relevant to the specific position. Hopefully that helps answer it.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Amazing.
No worries.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So before we continue, I know a lot of people want to talk, and some people want, like, let me hear. I want to ask my questions, That is very fantastic. But I want us to do one thing. Yeah, we've heard from Rashmi, and also we've heard some questions from the audience. I want to find out, like, so far, how are you enjoying this section? Is it making more sense? Are you getting value for this section? Please, I want you to drop in the chat. Yay, I am getting value. Or you can use the reaction button, whichever way, but I would prefer you to drop it in the chat, and let's see. If it's not making any sense, then we are going to close it. But if it is, then we have to continue, okay? Let's keep it coming, please. Let's keep it coming. Yes, Elizabeth said yes. Thank you. Let's keep it coming, guys. I can see some hands up. Where are others? Yes, Henry said thumbs up. Yes, getting value 100% from Nkiruka. Awesome. Didi said section has been very enlightening. Awesome. Abby said good value. Nice one. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming, please. I just wanted to engage to see what exactly are we getting from this section, if it's okay or if it's not. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. I can see your responses. Judy said, yes, this section is awesome. Thank you. And Fadekemi said, insightful. I see that. I am personally getting value from it as well. Thank you so much. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Rashmi, and everyone that responded. We are going to be going to the next person that raised their hand, which is Abby. Abby, unmute yourself and ask your question, please. If you have more than one question, I want you to choose the most important one, right? At the end of this section, I know that we might not be able to gather all the questions or give you the opportunity to ask your questions, right? But if you do have any further question you would like Rashmi to take care of, you are going to send it on our email. One of our team members will drop the email address and send it there, and it's going to get straight to Rashmi, and she will be able to do justice to that. Okay, thank you. Abby, go ahead and ask your questions.
All right, thank you, Wendy. Hi, Rashmi. My question to you is, you were talking about when you moved, you switched on to LinkedIn optimization. You slightly brushed on the idea or the practice of people dumping their resume into LinkedIn. Is that best practice? Or it should just be a summary? You don't necessarily have to copy all your work experience and put it there for each job that you've done. What's your take on that?
Yeah, it'd have to be a dump of your resume. Like my resume and my LinkedIn look quite different, to be honest with you. People do it differently. The only thing I do want everyone to be mindful of is to still make sure that your keywords are still there in that little description that you're writing. So if you decide to not put all those bullet points and you want to make it paragraph format, great, there's no issues. Just make sure you're still kind of having all of the right keywords, just so recruiters don't miss when they're doing this keyword search. Having the same profile and having the same resume is kind of pointless in my opinion, because when you submit, like when you apply for a job, you'll notice that you're submitting your LinkedIn profile anyway during the application, and they ask you to attach your resume. So if it's just a copy of it, it doesn't get any, there's no extra value added. I would say use your LinkedIn to be more personable, talk more about your experiences. It's where you don't have a page limit, you don't have a word limit. You can go into detail and talk about more details, or you can highlight more achievements than you probably could on your resume. So it doesn't have to be the same. Make sure there's keywords and make sure you're highlighting all of your achievements at all times.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. I have a question in the chat. That will be from Sandra. So I know you mentioned about reaching out to hiring manager and the recruiter. And Sandra is asking, how do I know this is a hiring manager? And how do I know this is a recruiter? You mentioned like a project manager if it's a business analyst, but for like cybersecurity and other fields, how do you know this is the hiring manager in the organization I can reach out to?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So sometimes in some job postings, you'll notice that when you look at the job posting, there's a section called job poster. Sometimes they'll have a person's profile linked there. So that's a great giveaway as to, okay, this is the recruiter that's working on this role. But most often than not, they don't have this information. But usually what happens in an organization is if you can get to any of the managers, they are willing to kind of, they'll probably reply to you first, and then they'll just transfer the resumes over to the recruiter to deal with anyway. And because it's coming from a hiring manager, they'll take it a lot more seriously than it just coming in as per general. In talking about identify your hiring managers, again, that I think will be a lot of market research. It'll differ company to company as well. So that's where, like I mentioned earlier, is go onto LinkedIn company page, go onto their people and type in that little piece about your job title and see what comes up. Usually you can find at least your colleagues, if not your managers, who could also be good people. In the current climate where, you know, there's a lot of candidates, it's unfortunately a very client market right now. Referrals go a long way. So it's usually how most people get hired. So having someone from within the organization make that referral for you will make a world of a difference. So find that person, just type in your job title into that people section. They will pop up, and then just click on them and then go from there. Or if you find nobody with your job title, just type in recruiter or type in talent or type in HR, and people will start to pop up and you can send it to them as well.
Thank you, Rashmi. So there's something you mentioned of referral. So in WinTech, my question is, how can we leverage on your connection? Like part of your profile is that you're able to connect people with good roles and, you know, innovative organizations. And also, how can we leverage on that, right? To help even our people transitioning, and even like if I want to change my job and all, how can we leverage on that, you know, to help us get good roles and good connections?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you are following me on LinkedIn or connected with me on LinkedIn, for example, and let's say you find this profile of the hiring manager or recruiter, you click on their profile and you see that I'm a common connection, please just drop me a note. Say, hey, Reshmi, I'm interested in this job. I saw that this person is a common connection. Would you be able to connect with us? Now, there are times where I might not know the person directly, but again, I'm happy to put in that one message that says, hey, got this note, thought it will be someone interesting for you to connect with. I'm happy to kind of do that piece. Again, there's no guarantee that there will be a reply 100% of the times, but I always say the same thing, is you only need one reply, and that's what we're all looking for. So don't be shy to reach out and tell people within your network that, and that's why building of your network is so crucial. Let me know. I will do everything I can to help connect. And if it doesn't work out, maybe talk to me and we can brainstorm other ways that, you know, other people you could connect with.
Great. Nice to hear that. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, Rashmi. I really appreciate you for that. Yeah, thank you so much. So while we move forward, I do have someone that is very interested to know one thing. And yeah, she's asking Edith. She said, do we need to add the date school starts and finishes? Like couple times, I've seen some folks send their resume across to me to more like help them check if the resume is okay and all that. And I see some people that finished school way back 19 something, you know, and you see them putting the date that they finished the school. So I think this person is asking based on that limelight, right? If it's okay for her to add the date in her resume, because right here I also see that she said, I ask you because I have a big gap from my back home school and college in Canada, you know, so please, can you do justice to that? Thank you.
That's a great question. Gaps in your resume, this is the most normal thing. At the end of the day, we are human, we are not robots. We may be unwell, we may have family that needs us. Sometimes we just need a mental health break. LinkedIn actually has finally come up with a feature where you can put that break in your LinkedIn profile as a break. So that's a great opportunity for you to put it as a break and explain why you took that break. Again, it's okay to say family and not delve into details. A lot of the time, this is extremely personal information. You don't need to delve into details, but just saying something along the lines of, took it to take care of family, took it as a mental health break. You have these options right now. The other thing that this usually relates to is the ageism piece that I touched upon a little bit earlier. A lot of people are concerned that if they see I started working in 2001, do you think they will no longer hire me? These things don't happen in the market. It is definitely way more chill than that. So feel free to put the years. You don't need to put an exact dates. I usually go with the Munder concept. I think that's enough information. But having that makes it sound a lot more legit, to be fair. Without that, it kind of feels like, wait, when did you do this? Did you even do this? So you have a lot of those questions. So to avoid that, put those dates. But it is absolutely okay to have a break on your resume. And any recruiter that says otherwise, please let me meet them, because we need to talk.
Thank you so much. And we'll take one more question. We are almost out of time. So before I take the question, we have our email address in the chat. You can send questions to us and we can reach out to Rashmi. And please, like she mentioned, follow Rashmi on LinkedIn. I don't know if you have done that, but I think by now you should have followed her on LinkedIn and then try to connect and reach out to other people and get very active on LinkedIn, right? Because like she mentioned, the more you reach out, the more you leave messages, the more you connect with people on LinkedIn, the more you pop up on other people's screens. So the next person is Onyinye. So you can ask your questions and then after that, we'll be doing a photo of things. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you, WinTech team. My question is around resume. I noticed, Rashmi, on your resume, you didn't list any soft skills, but you did mention that soft skills are a huge part of your line of work in recruitment. So are you saying we shouldn't like list soft skills on our resumes?
So that's a bit of a tricky question. In the case of my resume, for example, I kind of have the soft skills built into my job responsibility side of things. The reason I do that is I cannot tell you the number of resumes I receive that says good communication skills. Great. How do I know that, right? So having it as part of your job, talking about how you've used that to make your life easier in the job or to be more effective and productive in your job makes a big difference. So that's how I personally do it. But that being said, I do have all of my soft skills on LinkedIn listed out. So it's not bad to have, it's not wrong to have. It's just personally, when on my resume, I like it to be inbuilt that way. The only thing I put under skills are the technologies that I work with on a day-to-day basis. I hope that means.
Thank you. I think that will be all. And I'll hand over to Wendy for our final vote of thanks before we exit the call. I want to say a big thank you. It's been very, very educative, Rashmi. I've learned so much. And I know one of the things that you also mentioned was the banner. I didn't know there was like a banner, like, you have the cybersecurity banner, project manager banner. That's a new thing. So I'm going away with so much. So thank you. We hope to have you back sometime again. Thank you. So over to Wendy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ijoma. Thank you, Rashmi. I really appreciate you. Thanks for calling from the wealth of your knowledge. And also, exposing so many things that I know a lot of people don't even know they exist. So many people, so many ways we write the resume and also our LinkedIn profiles. This has been an insightful one. And we really appreciate you. Thank you for coming around today. Just like Ijoma mentioned, we are looking forward to see more of you. Of course, I hope that whenever we call on you, you will always be there to answer. Thank you so much. And on behalf of my team members and also everyone in today's call, we want to say a big thank you. And for everyone that's also connected tonight, I hope we got one or two things from today's section. I hope it has been an impactful one. If it does, please use the reaction button once again and clap for Rashmi for doing justice to today's section. I really appreciate you all. Thank you so much. We don't want to exceed our time because I know a lot of people have so many things to do, and tomorrow is also work. We need to prepare and also get ready for tomorrow. So that's why we are going to be ending it here. And if you raised your hand before we didn't take your question, please bear with us, okay? But what you will do is just send us an email and we are going to definitely get your question across to Rashmi and he will definitely take care of that, okay? Thank you so much. If you have not joined WinTech, we have our community on WhatsApp. One of my team members are going to drop that on the chat. If you want to be part of our community, do well to click on that link and also register for free and join us. We have our platform. We are on LinkedIn. We are on Instagram, Facebook, yes, and also we are on TikTok. And for today's section, we are also going to be sharing it on our YouTube channel. So if you want to listen to it again, or you have a family member that missed or a friend that missed today's section and you want them to be part of it, rush to our YouTube channel. Make sure you get connected over there. Subscribe to our channel. And you know what? Turn your notification bell so that when we drop this section there, you will be able to get notified. Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate you for joining us on tonight's section. And on that note, I'm going to say, take care of yourself and have a good night's rest. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.